sorry. I will move from conference. We haven't had a conference action in so long. I move from conference to action. I'll do this conference. Yeah. Second from Vice President Pritchett. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, with that, I will close the hearing. We're now in action, and with that, I will again make a motion to authorize the application for an SES waiver. And it's seconded by Vice President Wu. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Thank you very much. Best of luck. Okay. We are now on the consent agenda. I do have some proposed changes. There's a couple of comments. I'm not going to pull a couple of items unless it gets into discussion that's beyond what's appropriate. But if it's just clarifying questions, then we will keep it on the consent. So I'm going to start with, I believe there is a public comment on a consent item.
That is correct, President Kennedy. We have a comment from Darlene Anderson on 3 items on consent, okay. 10.1 E, G, and I.
E, G, and I. Ms. Anderson, would you come forward?
Okay, I don't expect to have 6 minutes, but I do expect to be able to talk.
Thank you.
10.1E, special education, continuous improvement. What does that mean? Because the district has not asked the special education department to do a presentation on the push-in model, which they moved to 2 years ago. And they did not provide any information in regards to the success or failure of those children at all the school sites that they were pushed into. McClatchy had a huge issue with the push-in model, but science and engineering has an issue with the push-in model too. I hate to say it, but I don't believe that it really exists because it will require the teachers acknowledge that those children are there, and they do not. 10.1G. I looked at the CONAP, and you're attempting to put the CONAP in the consent agenda. Well, this is the first year that you're only reporting on how the Title I dollars were used and who they supposedly affected. Very, very low numbers, considering you took the waiver, and that's why you had to come up here and have somebody present the waiver to get back into be a supplemental provider, but you still had after-school programs going on, and that is my concern. What effect and what is happening in your after-school programs as it stands right now for all kids? The uniform complaint procedure. Now that is an issue, simply because if you complain about a principal in this district, most likely your complaint will be sent back to the principal to respond to your complaint or your concern. So, and then he would found it unfounded. Of course, why would he accept the responsibility for acknowledging that there was an issue in the first place? And I have found that this year, my written complaint to the district went back to my local principal, and of course he found it unfounded. But in special education, every child has a right to a FAPE, which is called a free and appropriate public education. They have a right to have the services at their site that will enable them to participate. And when a principal says he feels that he has adequate services, well, that's not his call, is it? And that's what needs to be handled inside the uniform complaint. And also, gosh, there are just so many issues around the uniform complaint. It should not be on the consent agenda. The uniform complaint and consolidated application process has to do with how the school plans were actually handled and the progress. And you're going to lump it into the into the consent agenda, and then you're not going to deal with it. And that's the problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time constraints. 10.1K, I believe that member